Hello and welcome to Extreme Gameplays where I play games stylishly. Today I'm coming in with a really short video about a new discovery in God of War 3 revolving around the photo mode. What you're seeing on the screen is simply me cancelling enemy attacks by getting them off screen using the photo mode in God of War 3 Remastered, not on the PS3 port. This is only on the PS4 port just to clear things up from the start. I want to know the most important thing about this discovery, and is that it was found by Fiddlestick. The link for his video is going to be down in the description and in the pinned comment. He found it while trying to look for an exploit to not get hit in this lever section while speedrunning the game. It's a speedrun strat basically. But today I wanted to showcase it against all the other enemies, how to incorporate this into the combat. Is it going to be allowed or not? We still have yet to see that completely. It's essentially just, as you can see right now on the screen, I just get the enemies off screen and they stop attacking. Normally in God of War, enemies do not attack when they're off screen. Some enemies do issue attacks and they can still continue on their attacks even when you take them off screen. Some other enemies still attack even while they're off screen, but they just give you a hint or whatever. But the majority of the enemies in the mainline God of War games do not attack from off screen. It is a major rule in all action games. And of course, God of War 3 follows the same rule, but it has a twist with this photo mode discovery that Fiddlestick found. Simply zooming in and taking the enemies out of the frame in photo mode disables their attack. They start another attack, or they get in their wander state basically. So you can kind of build up an attack and never get interrupted. Or sometimes while you want to just kind of trade attacks and you want your attack to land and the enemy's attack to not land, just pausing and taking the enemy off screen with the photo mode kind of cancels his attack completely and you can land your attack safely. But there's a twist to this. Now I have made a list on which enemy this works great against, which enemy doesn't work good, which enemy like it doesn't even work like as a whole. But before I even start going through enemies and using this exploit, I just want to note out one thing, and it's that rushing enemies, you know, the types that run and do an attack, most if not all of these enemies do not care. But then again, there's still a little twist to that, but just follow my lead. I'm gonna show you how it works on which enemies and it doesn't work on other enemies. Also another thing, this does not work on bosses. Bosses are not like normal enemies where you get them off screen and they turn into their wander state and they don't attack and stuff. No, bosses are an exception. They don't care about this exploit. Okay, let's start. Now, starting on a very good category, the Talos enemies, both the bronze and the silver Talos, this works like wonders against them. You can destroy them anytime you see them issue an attack. It is very, very good against the Talos enemies. Even when Fiddlestick found this, he was facing off against Talos enemies. What a nice discovery, honestly. I just want to say. Point is, it works really nice against Talos. As you can see on the screen right now, I'm building up attacks and I'm canceling him with the photo mode. It is very, very useful if you want to use it in your, like if you want him to cancel an attack. If you see an attack and you know it's going to hit you, you can just pause with the photo mode and get him off screen. It's very, very nice. Next up, which is something I don't feel like going into it, but is these normal enemies, even these heavier versions of the Legionnaires. You can completely cancel their attacks by taking them off screen, which is again very, very helpful. Next up, we have the Minotaurs. On the Minotaurs, this also does work good, but there's a twist with the Minotaurs, and is that they have a rush attack where they, you know, they kind of wind up their attack and they start running towards you and they want to horn you. Now, whenever they start running towards you, you cannot, you know, get them off screen, and they will not, like, you can get them off screen, but they will not stop their attacks. But there's still another good twist to this thing, and is that when they are starting to issue their run, before they start running, you can get them off screen. So if you see a Minotaur from the distance trying to rush towards you, you can get him off screen, and boy, you can just punish his ass. Good things, man. What a discovery all these years after. Next up, we have Sirens. It works like wonders against Sirens as well. Whenever you see a Siren in the air trying to do her scream attack, that kind of has Kratos in the QTE section where you know you have to move the analog to escape the dizzy state. On Sirens, it works really nice. It instantly cancels them out. It instantly cancels every attack that they do, even on the ground attacks, their projectile attacks. Everything is cancelable. Really good against Sirens, especially in you know the air attack that they usually like to do so much. You can kind of take them off screen and just jump safely and get them off the air however you want. Next up, we have the Wraiths. Now, the Wraiths is just another story, just like the Sirens. So you can literally cancel everything that they have. Except for maybe the ground attack where they come out of the ground, but that's just an exception. That's not that important. For now, the normal attacks of the Wraiths, you can literally cancel all attacks by simply taking her off the screen. Yeah, that was the good section of this thing. You know, this camera exploit, you know, works pretty good against these types of enemies. Now I'm gonna move on to the works in a kind of mid type of way. It does not work very nice, but it does work. And I felt like starting with the Cerberus breeder. Now, yes, it is crazy enough that it works on the Cerberus breeder, but there's a twist to it. It does not cancel him from most of his, you know, usual stuff. For example, when he's trying to birth seeds, you cannot really stop him by taking him off screen. He keeps on doing his thing. And he has a rush attack that again gets kicked by this whole thing. You cannot really get him off screen and just expect him to stop. But his other attacks are pretty well cancelable by this exploit. His melee attacks whenever close enough, or even when he's trying to go for the fireballs, you know, he spams 3 fireballs and they rain down on you. You can cancel all that with, you know, simply by taking him off screen. So it does work good, but it's not the best thing, but you can kind of use it to your advantage sometimes. Next up, the Gorgons, both the Gorgon Serpent and the normal Gorgons. Now, it works good against these guys, but it's kind of sketchy. Like, taking the normal Gorgon off screen, she kind of resets her attack, you know, her normal melee attack. And she tries to go for the beam like 99% of the time. But I don't know, I haven't seen her do another attack when I take her off screen. So yeah, this is just another, basically for God of War 3 Remastered, this is another way to kind of abuse her beam. You can kind of force it, just like the false grab that you can do on her. Really, really good against the Gorgon. The Gorgon Serpent, however, is kind of weird. Like, you can cancel her beam, which is not usually something you want to do. You want to get this beam coming towards you just to kind of parry it, right? But it works to some extent, and it kind of does cancel her sometimes into her, you know, where she tries to crawl up to you and grab you. That does do some decent damage when you escape, you know, the Gorgon Serpent, but I guess if you want to be completely safe, if you see her doing a beam and you know you can't escape, maybe you're blocking and a lot of enemies are attacking, you can simply get her off screen and she's gonna cancel the beam. So this is one of the few cases where you don't want the beam from the Gorgon Serpent, so yeah. Next up, we have the Shieldy Boys. Now, why I put these guys in the midsection is because whenever you get them off screen, they instantly issue another attack. And it's the same fast, you know, jab that they try to do. It is good, and you can kind of abuse this camera exploit against them if you're fast enough. Get them off screen, then instantly attack, maybe. That's just a simple example. It is good to also sometimes, maybe you know you will not make it to escape the statue from, you know, when you're frozen by a Gorgon. You can sometimes freeze time and just do a time skip. Basically get them off screen and just break out from the statue. For the Shieldy Boys, it is a confirmed thing. Like, anytime you get them off screen, they reset their attacks. It's just that their attack is very fast, that this might not be the best option that you want to go with. Just a thought. Next up, we have Satyrs. Now, why I put these guys in the midsection is because there's that one attack that they do where they jump off to the air, and that attack is not cancelable. If that attack was cancelable, this would have been in the good section of the whole exploit right now, but it's not, and it's kind of sad. Otherwise, all the other attacks are cancelable whenever you get him off screen. Like, if he's trying to attack, if you're blocking and you see something unblockable coming from somewhere, use the camera exploit, and honestly, yeah. That's about it for the mid section of this exploit. Now to the bad side of this exploit, and it's that it does not work against, like, a lot of important enemies that I wish it kind of worked on. For starters, we have the Cyclops enemies. All of the Cyclops enemies are immune to this thing. It does not matter how much you get them off screen. They will do their attacks. They will do whatever they want. It doesn't matter if you interrupt them, try to interrupt them, or even get them off screen flat out. They still do their thing. It makes no difference, so for the Cyclops enemies, it's kind of a tragedy that nothing happens. Same thing for the Centaur General. This gentleman right here does not give a fuck about your camera exploit. He will do his attack, he will do his rush, he does literally everything, doesn't matter if you get him off screen. Next up, I decided to put the Chimera in here because there's only truly 2 attacks that you can, you know, fully cancel the Chimera from. And it's the first phase where you fight the snake, where, you know, it does the acid attack. And if you for some reason think you want to trade an attack or whatever, you can kind of get it off screen and it resets the attack, doesn't do the acid attack, so that's nice. Other than that, the Chimera can attack off screen, no problem, even if you get him off screen with a photo mode, whatever, does not matter. If it issued an attack on screen, it will continue it even off screen, so do be wary of that. That goes for every phase, except for the last phase, when the Chimera tries to go for the fire attack. The fire shockwave by the lion, I guess, is it's completely cancelable if you get it off screen. you can kind of build up your attacks and you can put it in a loop. Sometimes it gets in a random state, sometimes it tries to reset the attack, which in here it hit me. I didn't know it would reset the attack. But yeah, it's kind of good against the last phase if you want to really stop the fire coming. Maybe if you're fighting the 2 chimeras before opening the gates of Tisiphone, you can kind of abuse this. If you're busy with one chimera, the other one's trying to do the shockwave, you can cancel him by just getting him off screen with a photo move. But that, again, this might not, so far as we know right now, God Mode God does not allow this in challenge runs, so do be wary. This is not allowed. Don't use it in a challenge run. I just made this video so that maybe one day he might watch it, and then we're gonna have a finalized kind of decision about this whole thing, if it's gonna be a DQ or not. So yeah. And finally, we have the normal Cerberus, not the breeder, the normal Cerberus, and it does not work on him. Doesn't matter. Melee attacks, rush attacks, he absolutely just wrecks. This guy does not care about the camera, so there you go. Don't try it on bosses. Bosses don't act like normal enemies. And just like that, we reached the end of the video. What a really nice discovery. I can't emphasize how happy I am for this thing. This kind of gives us the tricking that we never had for God of War 3. I might not use it a lot, but my god is it good. Imagine if it's gonna be allowed in challenge runs. Pain plus equipment is gonna be really good against Talos enemies if this works. It is very niche and it might not happen at every single moment of gameplay, but god, a moment will call one day for this. And when I do it, I'm gonna be happy. Again, this was discovered by Findlestick. The link for his video and his channel is gonna be in the description and in the pinned comment. Make sure to show love for his channel and his video. Honestly, it was crazy. This man is back to God of War 3 somehow, just to discover billions of stuff in a day. And this discovery was especially important because it works for the combat folks. It doesn't matter if it's a new game plus or a no upgrade one. This absolutely works, and it's I like this. I'm always happy when something new gets discovered about the combat, man. This is very I guess beautiful. I don't know. Again, thank you so much, Findlestick, for giving me permission to make a video about this, you know, in depth about all the enemies and stuff. Thank you so much for the awesome discoveries about all the other stuff you found in God of War. This guy's been doing it for a long time, for anyone wondering. And yeah, with that, we come to the end of the video. Thank you guys so much for watching the video. We hit 23,000 subscribers yesterday, and I can't thank you guys enough. Honestly, thank you so much. Tune into the streams. You know what I'm saying? I stream challenge runs nearly every day, so if you're interested in God of War challenge running, just tune in. I also make God of War content and stuff, and you don't need to know anything about that. It has been your Extreme Gamer Zesty. Peace!